think that the real struggles are unseen.
Supernatural beings take physical form. They all believe that. The Greek myths, Jesus, most famously, but that they take physical form, that they're not just like some ethereal, they're not just shadows floating around, specters, fog, that they're physical.
The Bible, revered as sacred scripture in Christianity, is rich with accounts of supernatural beings who influence human affairs. Angels and demons, the primary spiritual entities in biblical texts, interact with humans in various ways, often taking on human form. These interactions have profound implications on daily reality, guiding, protecting, or tempting individuals.
I'm coming to this late in life, and I'm coming to it cold from working in the institutional media for over 30 years to all of a sudden not in the last year. So there are a lot of things that are obvious to you and your viewers and that are not obvious to me. And I'm just learning. I'm like, wow, I really do feel like the last soldier, you know, like coming out and being like, the war's over, really? And everyone's like, yeah, it's been 20 years, you know, that's like how I feel. And so people with this weird and destructive instinct, that's what it is. It's not a conspiracy, it's an instinct, have taken over all the levers of power. I think it's like a spiritual force. That's my personal view. I can't prove it, but I really believe it. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's something else. But that's what I perceive. And
well, that's what I think it is too. Nothing anymore makes any sense. I'm convinced that when we die, we will see that everything that we know or think we know is a lie.
I totally agree.
The interaction between supernatural beings and humans has significant implications for understanding reality from a biblical perspective. Angelic intervention often guides humans towards righteous paths, reinforcing moral choices aligned with God's will. Conversely, demonic temptation challenges humans to practice evil and ungodly desires, proceeding to remove the believer out in their faith.
Recently, and he said to me, he goes, I'm not excited to die. I've got all these kids or whatever. No one wants to die, but I'm kind of psyched to like understand what all this is. Yeah, I feel that way.
You do?
Totally. I'm not looking forward to death at all. I happen not to be afraid of it.
You want the answers. Do you think we're going into World War III?
We're really close to it, as you know. Yeah, if you see a human movement that's anti-human, the push toward nuclear war for its own sake is by definition anti-human, I would say. Like any movement that's anti-human is probably not human. Do dogs act against their own collective interest? Do caribou? Do porcupines? Do single-cell amoeba? Do sea cucumbers? No, none of them do. No animal does that because it's not natural. Animals are part of nature. They do natural things. People are subject to the supernatural. So they do things that are not natural, like kill themselves. That's why we're the only species that kills itself. So when you kill yourself, whether slowly or all at once, you're being acted on by forces outside of you, spiritual forces, obviously. One thing that you notice about every world religion I'm familiar with, I'm interested in that topic, there are commonalities between religions. Very striking between all world religions I'm aware of and all creation myths. And one of them, and this is of course true for Christianity, very true, is that the belief that supernatural beings take physical form. They all believe that. The Greek myths, Jesus, most famously, but that they take physical form, that they're not just like some ethereal, they're not just shadows floating around, specters, fog, that they're physical. I think that the real struggles are unseen. That is absolutely a part of Christian theology. I didn't fully appreciate it at all. It's a part of every theology. In fact, it is theology. That is theology. The belief that the real struggles are in the spiritual realm. That has been a constant belief since the beginning of history, recorded history. Everybody has thought that, except us in the West, since 1945. I can't say that enough. So once you get perspective on this question, you're like, okay, that may sound crazy to someone who thinks buying on Amazon is the meaning of life, but to every other person in the world, we may disagree about what the truth is, I'm sure we will, but we will never disagree with the fact that there's a lot going on that we cannot see or measure with our senses. That is absolutely true.
Angels provide protection and healing as seen in numerous biblical accounts. Their intervention can manifest in miraculous recoveries, safety from harm, and spiritual reassurance during times of crisis, while demonic spirits can cause sickness and ill will in a human body. The presence of supernatural beings encourage believers to maintain spiritual awareness and vigilance, Recognizing the influence of angels and demons foster a deeper understanding of spiritual dimensions of reality.
We talked this morning about my experience about, get slapped in the face by God, basically,
Yes.
right? Pretty much everybody on my team is extremely well versed in the Bible.
Yeah.
And and they bring me up to speed in a hurry. But I mean, even just
Those are the wisest people I've discovered.
yeah,
I didn't know that.
there's nowhere you can look and go, that makes sense anymore. Nothing makes any sense at all. The confusion of genders, it's everywhere you look.
And only the Bible readers are prepared to understand it. That's what because everything is the opposite of what you were told. So you were told that all the Bible readers were the most superstitious and inflexible and stupid and lacking wisdom and common sense, and they couldn't see reality. And that's what I grew up. I mean, even though we went to church occasionally or whatever, of course we hated religious people because all affluent Americans hate religious people in the world that I grew up in. Because they're superstitious and dumb and they're embarrassing and they're kind of middle class or poor whites, and you're like, ugh. I mean, I'm so ashamed to say that, but I was never against them, really. You just don't question what you were taught, really, kind of,
Mm-hmm.
And then it turns out that those are the only people who know what's going on. They're the best people. I've known that for a while. They are the best. Religious people are the best people. It's not even close. Who else hopes other people who else prays for their enemies? Anyone? Nope, just Christians, that's it. So anyway, I've known that for a while, that they were the best people. But what I didn't know was that they're the only wise people. They're the only ones who know what's up. That they're just way smarter than everybody. I didn't know that. I had no idea. And the last couple of years I've been they're the only people who know what's going on. And you had the greatest line this morning. I won't reveal personal stuff we talked about, but you were talking about something super crazy that happened to you. And you went to a Christian who works for you, who was just well, yeah, of course. That happens all the time. And you said to them, to people who really understand this stuff, it's not a shocking event. I think you said it's Tuesday. Because they know that this is real.
It's all been written. It's in it's in the book.
I know.
It's in the book. And it's playing out.
I mean, that shouldn't be surprising either. I mean, again, I just can't believe that in the end, when it really gets intense, as it is now, that it's Christians, it's people who actually believe the Bible are the only ones with wisdom who understand what's really going on. They're not shocked at all.
The conclusion of the story is the Bible's portrayal of supernatural beings underscore a dynamic interaction between the spiritual and the physical realm. Angels and demons, through their intervention and influence, shape human experience, guiding, protecting, and tempting and challenging individuals. This profound interplay highlights the ongoing spiritual battle and the need for faith and discernment in navigating life's journey.